More than one person traveling on this path has actually missed the seventh gate. They drive too fast or are not observant enough, and they drove right past that very small sign next to a dirt road on the left that says Bad Road. But it is right to turn left, and it is good to go down Bad Road in order to reach better things. I cannot verify if this next statement is scientifically 100% true, but I was taught that there are 7 layers to the skin and 7 sacred planets and 7 days to the week and 7 notes on the musical scale. But once we go through the 7 layers of skin, we actually enter into a whole different inner world. And once we play the 7 notes of the scale, we find that they repeat themselves all over again on a higher frequency. And all of this has direct correspondence with the 7th gate. For we are entering inside something. We have rung 7 notes and discover that there are 7 higher notes still down the road. As one turns left, which is the right thing to do, and enters Bad Road, one crosses the 7th gate and enters into a very unique and special dimension. Bad Road, many decades ago, got its unusual name because there were a few rustic and colorful and individualistic old-timers and aging hippies who chose to live here. One could make whiskey in a still, while another could grow pot in buckets carefully hidden between rocks and trees. And in order to keep folks away from all this colorful existence, the sign was carved which said, Bad Road. Yet, Bad Road unquestionably leads to much good and much beauty and much peace and quiet. I love the way that science helps explain some things, and myths help to explain some other things. There are times when science and myths mix and match. So what science and geology is quite convinced about, and seems easily able to prove, is that this area was once highly volcanic. And in fact, there is a good-sized cinder cone within hiking distance of the 7th gate and the lands behind it. And one can see how, once upon a time, this underground eruption created not only this large local cinder cone, but also sent a rushing wall of molten hot rock and lava directly towards where I live, and where the Tibetan stupa is, and where the 7th gate is located. But for some reason, just before it reached this beautiful meadow and forested land, that river of lava split into 2 and circled around 80% of this 160 acres that much later, yet so many, many decades ago, was carved out as private land in the midst of a national forest. So that seems like a true story. Now comes another story, which you may find to be totally true, or partly true, or perhaps not true at all. But here is what elders that I trust have told me. Once upon a time, and certainly over 1,000 years ago, there were those beings and those powers and those principalities and those energies and those kachinas and those demigods which looked down the road into the future and could see that some places should be set aside and preserved and protected because they could potentially serve and help in the future. There are several of these places around the earth. Castle Hill in New Zealand, and the Grand Tetons in North America, and Lake Titicaca in South America, and a special location in Mongolia, and yet another in Greece, and another in southern Spain, and another in Egypt, and several in the Middle East, and more than one in South America, and on and on. And among these places was this meadow, high in the mountains, and deep in the forest, and at the end of Bad Road. So to protect such places, these energies produced this volcano and directed this wall of lava to encircle almost all of it, leaving only an opening, perhaps 200 yards wide, at the gate. And then the land and the meadow was to wait, or so says the legend. Wait for the ancient ones. Then wait for the Acoma and Zuni Pueblo peoples. Then wait for the people of Dina, often called the Navajo. Then wait for the white loggers and the farmers and the homesteaders. And just as the calendar turned past 2000, wait a few years longer for the Tibetans. Over thousands of years, they all came, and they all still come. And in the next note, we shall enter inside the seventh gate and on to Stonefire, the diamond in the circle Wild Critter Ranch, with the crystals and Learning Rock Ridge and the Bonsai Trail, and that blazing blue sky which sits over and nurtures the land of enchantment. And who can say, but perhaps enter into a higher frequency and some higher notes on this never-ending cosmic keyboard.